Good people, we're back for a bonus episode of Debates Never Die. Impossible to move on without discussing what is potentially the biggest story in football this year so far. We are in November, we do have a World Cup coming, but I can't think of a more, other than perhaps, I can't remember the last time there was a story, a potential story as big as this. And it is obviously time to discuss the elephant in the room, the goat in the room, if I can. The explosive interview that Cristiano Ronaldo has coming with Piers Morgan, and I'm joined by my mates to talk about. We're trying to unpack this. So I'm joined by Khanya, Mvu, and Tobi to try and unpack, and Lebone, to try and unpack what's coming. At the time of recording, we're basing a lot of what we know on the snippets and on the quotes that have been released a few days before the interview, but we have to talk about this, gents, because there's no way we can just gloss over it. Ronaldo sat down with Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan, and I quote, the most explosive interview ever. Some top line quotes from the interview include Ronaldo saying that he feels betrayed by Man United, claiming that he doesn't respect Erik ten Hag. The club showed no empathy for his sick daughter, who during the off season, and he feels like he's been made a black sheep, and a whole host of other quotes, including goes at former teammates, goes at the club structure and facilities. There's so many questions I have, but first I want to get from the panel your first reactions to just the context of all of this, like the fact that it's after the last club fixture before the World Cup. I'll start with you, Khanya. What when you heard the news about this interview that's coming and your reactions to some of the quotes you've seen, what do you make of all of this?
I mean, my first thought was just, I'm glad we're finally getting this interview that he threatened to release in like August. It felt, I felt very underwhelmed that there was just silence after that. So I can only assume this is what he's referring to, and that's loosely around the time period it would have been recorded. Overall, I think it's an extremely selfish decision. Like he might have his grievances, valid or otherwise. I don't think that they're entirely valid, but I think him doing this while he's still at the club is just an unnecessary attention grab.
I'll jump to you, Lebone, next. As a fellow United fan, given the momentum that we've kind of built over the season as a whole, with all the drama in the background, the fact that we have some tangible momentum in terms of progression in the Europa League, progression in the Carabao Cup, our league position, and obviously with yesterday's result against Fulham, it feels like anytime we have something a bit positive this season, it goes back to Ronaldo. So what are you making of all of this? How do you feel about the fact that this interview, he's chosen now to drop this interview?
Yeah, okay. I can't. Yeah, I don't know what to even say about the timing of it, because yeah, the timing is very peculiar, because as you noted, we're kind of on I wouldn't say we're on an upward trajectory, but the project is starting to somewhat look like it actually is a project. Right. And for that reason, there is a bit of optimism that we're starting to garner. We're getting Garnacho getting into the team, and you cannot say that Ronaldo's influence has not been seen by Garnacho. I mean, you can see that he idolizes the guy, and I mean, even his first goal. So you can kind of see that there, in some ways, even as much as he is being a distraction, there is still positives to his presence in some ways. But even then, knowing that there's positives to his presence and still going ahead and doing such a disparaging sort of outlook on United, as much as maybe they may deserve it, I think for where things seemed as they were going, especially given the morale that seems to be kind of being cultivated within the team and in the dressing room, I just think that it's just a move that says, yeah, I can see potential here, but what I was given beforehand has kind of burned the bridge for me to even fully invest in whatever's going on here. So I need to be out. Regardless of whatever merits may be in me staying here, I think it's just become too untenable. And I also think that he didn't give himself time to actually really fully fathom everything that happened after the aftermath of his his son passing, his daughter getting sick, I feel like there's a lot of familial issues that have been affecting his mental health that he hasn't necessarily taken as much a back seat as maybe one might think they should have. Because, I mean, his son passed and then like 2 weeks later he was back playing. And not even back playing, but back playing in a bad team again. So it was just, I think there's a lot of fault on both sides. And yeah, the timing is just not nice. It leaves a bitter taste in my mouth, no matter what merit he may have in his opinion and whatever United have done to make it or to get it to this point where he doesn't feel as though he could keep this indoors. But it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth because I feel like we could have. It's just a needless. It didn't have to go down like this. It just didn't have to go down like this. Yeah.
I'm gonna pick on that word that you just said, needless, and I'll jump to Tobi, another United fan. Tobi, you need to throw us a bone here, man. What do you think, if you're gonna give us an alternative perspective? What do you think in Ronaldo's mind? What is he trying to achieve with all of this? What do you think is the end goal?
The end goal, I think, is more of just to shed a light on the situation that's been happening along and within the club, shall I say. I feel like to a large extent, not even a certain extent, to a large extent, he has been made the victim, I think, in a lot of the situations that we're in. I think in a situation where, yes, maybe he's not the player that he was when he first joined United or he was at Real Madrid, but I still feel like him as an athlete, him as what I would say a GOAT, he achieved, 24 goals last season. There's still stuff there. And I think, well, I don't have obviously all the words and all the information, but I feel like there was to a certain extent, he was betrayed by, I guess, the executive. Maybe they told him something like, okay, yeah, we'll look to bring in the best players. We'll look to bring in the best managers. And then he came to a situation where none of that happened. Like he said, he did not know who Ragnick was. And this guy was, and he was made the sporting director. So like you, as someone who has high levels and high standards, coming to a club that's being almost like run as a circus at the time, it's kind of like, what do you want me to do? And then when we play bad, everyone says, oh, Ronaldo's not pressing, Ronaldo's not this, he's not doing that, he's not doing that. So I feel like for him, it's more of like a way for him to like say, guys, you guys blame this all on me, now it's my time to get back, which is wrong. Like Thabani's always said, and what everyone always says, no one is bigger than the club. And just to touch on the timing that Lebone was talking about, I think it was very bad because we're in a situation now. What happens in January? Do we terminate his contract? Is he empty?
Yes.
Has he played his last game for Man United? He doesn't get that
Yes.
farewell that probably most people wanted to give him. So like it just
Bye.
Yeah.
it just creates a situation where like now what do we do next? Does he join Arsenal? People are saying, which will never happen because obviously
I'd rather die.
There's levels, but yeah, Thabani, that's my answer, bro. I don't know. It's a crazy situation going on at the moment. We'll love to see how it develops.
The absolute nerve of Ronaldo to slander off Ragnick when the guy, like, what has Pirlo done in football? I need that Juventus interview. I need the same interview. I need someone in Italy to fetch this guy. I need another Juventus interview. The nerve of him. I mean, to slander off Ragnick, like, why is Ragnick catching strays here? Like, Ralph did his best. His best was ass. We know that. But, like, I feel for the guy. Because, yeah. But, yeah, Ralph aside, come to Mr. Level-Headed Mvu. I feel like I can, if you weren't here, I'd be able to give your take to the people. But, yeah, just your first reaction to, I just want to hear about the interview itself. The fact that he went to Piers Morgan, like come on. What are you making of the platform he's chosen to do this through, and obviously the timing? Do you suspect? I don't want to say foul play, but do you suspect a bit of a few tactics here? The fact that the interview is only dropping now, it could have been recorded a few weeks ago. He waited for the last club game before the World Cup. He was absent for the last 2 games. Do you think this is a tactical masterclass from him, or just ill-timed and lack of foresight and just tone deaf? What do you make of this?
I think it was strategic. We can't speak for when it was recorded,
I personally don't believe this was recorded at the time he put that Instagram post out, or that comment. So what we can do is speak about its release date. So I believe that is 100% strategic. After the World Cup, we know the winter transfer opens up quite soon after. It just seems like he's, I guess, trying to get what he wanted in the summer out now. Yeah, I don't think it's just him being tone deaf. It's very strategic more than anything. I'm sorry, then what was the second part of what you said? Just so I can touch on that.
Just touching on the fact that he's used Piers Morgan, who we know. We all know about Piers Morgan, but just he's obviously done an interview with Piers Morgan a few years ago, so we do know he kind of trusts Piers Morgan as a platform to get a message across. But just in terms of, apart from the strategy, what do you make of using Piers Morgan as a platform, as opposed to maybe his own platform? Why not, or an official publication, a media house, or the club? Just the fact that he went to Piers Morgan, who, I mean, Piers Morgan is an Arsenal fan. He's got no interest in the success of Man United, but seems to, for lack of a better phrase, dick ride Cristiano Ronaldo. What do you make of that?
I think it highlights how the narrative that he's put out about this being for the fans, so that the fans have clarity, or anything of the sort, is just false, in my opinion. If that is the case, why would you only go to someone who we know won't be objective to Man United, like you said? Someone who won't. I personally, I just want to see the types of questions that are asked, but I don't believe that would be asked in an objective manner to say or hold Ronaldo accountable to any extent at his time there for his reactions during the season. Pierce, I'll never understand it. Like, I get you want to probably go to someone who you know will support you, but that just makes all of this disingenuous as well, I think. If you want to get your truth out, you can do that on your own. Or at least find an outlet that is partial, or, like you said, someone who, like, why couldn't Rio, who Ronaldo's in constant contact with, why couldn't he be the guy to be conducting this interview, where we know Rio would ask his own questions? Rio could possibly look at both sides. We don't know, because some of the comments that he's made has probably shown that he's tried to look at both sides, and it's looked like he's defending Ronaldo. But that's someone whose thoughts will be about Man United and the player, where Piers Morgan could care less about United's image, like you've said. It's just weird. You can't say that this is for the fans to do and all of these things, and that you care about the club, and the reason why he's saying these things is for the betterment of the club. I don't know if what his entire motive, or what he puts out there, like what he thinks it is, but I think it's just shown how this is just quite self-centered. But at the same time, some of the points that he put out, it's not like we all entirely disagree with, but there's so much of this interview where we just think, like, this guy is just losing his mind. Like, why has he gone this route? I don't understand it at all.
And to just touch on one thing you said there, in terms of the why, I just don't see a scenario where we listen to the whole 90-minute thing and be like, oh, now we understand. No, that's not going to happen. Like, and like, okay, we do take mental health very seriously, but this guy's lost his mind, bro. No one, there's no justification. Like, there's no scenario where 6 months from now, we're like, okay, thank God he told us his side of the story, and now everything's better. This seems like a very clear, like you said, a strategic move to, first of all, end his time at Manchester United. But beyond that, and we'll get to legacies, I still do not understand the purpose of this. Khanya, I know you had one more thing to say on just the reaction to the timing and all of this.
The point I wanted to make was more linked to you highlighting that Ronaldo is fine with Pirlo as Juve coach. To go after Ragnick, it feels again like this is all about his personal issues with certain things as opposed to just outright wrongs. Tobi also mentioned that one of the promises might have been that Ronaldo could have been promised that certain kinds of managers would have come in. I believe United got the very best manager available
Great
in Europe. I don't think that there's anyone else they could have gone for. So to not be also when you talk about like stylistic fits, I don't think that there is a single coach who is as good as Ten Hag who would have found a way to fit Ronaldo in better than Ten Hag has tried to do. I don't think that there's any merit Ronaldo has in any kinds of complaints. Like as you said, I really have been racking my brain thinking, what could he possibly say? I'd be like, you know what? He was spitting. It made so much sense to do this interview and let it come out the week after United beat. There's nothing. It might be one of the most senseless things I've seen a professional of that caliber release. Lukaku doesn't come close to this.
And just to touch on that point that you made about a professional, this is someone who, for the entirety of his career, has been touted as a winner, the ultimate pro. He cares about nothing other than being the best possible professional footballer, the best possible player on his team. This just reeks of the opposite. I see the people defending him, not for this interview, but in recent weeks. If you've got Roy Keane defending you and Graham Souness defending you, on the one hand, it could look like, I mean, these are all ex-pros who know the game. They're the stand-up pros, the leaders of men. But you dig a bit deeper and you look at the characters who are defending him. I don't see a thread of people who I buy into at all. At all. It's a strange one, and I hate to keep teasing the audience. We'll get to the idea of legacy shortly, but Mvu, I know you had one more before we close on just our initial reactions.
Yes. So just my I guess quick fire points is that even his comments about respecting the manager, I think this idea that Ten Hag, I think we all agree, this idea that Ten Hag hasn't shown enough respect is just nonsense. Ronaldo's missed the preseason, albeit it might have been for the personal reasons that we all know of. But he's given them a chance to be like, okay, you've missed preseason, work. You can work and get your fitness back. You're not going to throw you back into just playing minutes on minutes on minutes. Ronaldo played against Brentford when you got slapped up 4-0. Early part of the season. He's played
but what does that have
games.
to do? Wait, sorry. What does that have to do with anything?
We're talking about respect and showing him respect. I'm saying Ten Hag has I think done enough to give Ronaldo the respect that he needs to get back into the team after not having a preseason. This idea that he has been shown no respect by Ten Hag is false. If anything, Ronaldo's had almost three bust-ups with him, which most managers, if it weren't Ronaldo, probably would have gotten rid of him in the middle of the season, or you would have not seen light of the day. You would have not been playing. Maguire is not playing games, and he's doing far less than Ronaldo is to disrupt the dressing room. So this idea that he's not getting this respect is just false. And lastly, back to what Khanya and Tab have said, there's nothing groundbreaking that he will say that we're Gary Neville almost every Monday makes the comments that Ronaldo's making about United are far behind in facilities and all these things. These are things that the fans already know. He's not saying something where you'd be like, oh, wow, I didn't know this. It's the only difference is that it's a player who's currently there. These are things that
This
people
guy's complaining about the chefs, bro. The chefs, they did nothing.
He's saying
we have the same recipes.
Same thing, bro.
Things we hear, not even basically jacuzzis, but he's saying things that Gary Neville if not Gary Neville, Rio, if not Rio, Paul Scholes, if not Paul Scholes, working things that they mention week and week out.
Oh, so you're basing
People
this
are
off
acting.
snippets?
People are acting like he's saying something groundbreaking, where they're like, "Oh wow, we didn't know this. We didn't know this, bro. We really didn't know that the club is not investing in the right places." He was signed because of, like, the reason why you're signed is because the club was doing exactly what he's complaining about now. They're not investing well. So this idea that he's exposing them is false. Like, yes, he's putting light to it, sharp, but that's been happening and happening and happening and happening, and fans know this. So why is it now that, oh yes, he's the one who's doing this? Like, no, that's just some false narrative that is being put out there to protect someone who's just acting on his own.
Tobi, you said something interesting there, and I can't ignore it. What do you mean we're basing this off snippets? No, yes, we're basing this off snippets. What do you want us to base this on?
These
Well, I mean,
snippets
bro,
were put out by peers, bro. Like,
there's two
Ronaldo
90-minute
saw
episodes
this.
we still have to watch, but Oaks already saying as if they were in that room, they heard what everything was being said.
But
They were talking like they were
we're
in that
commenting
room.
on what
do
has been
that.
put out. We're commenting on what has been put out to the public.
Don't do that, Tobi.
Not what we're guessing.
No, I
We're
understand.
not thumb sucking this information. This is what's there.
No,
This is
but
what's
I'm
there.
saying, bro, we need to also be careful about the way we can just judge off snippets. And this is an issue with social media in general. We need to be
Here we
careful.
go.
We need to listen, we need to analyze, and then wait as well. Because these next few episodes can be key in the way in which everyone will view Ronaldo. Because he could easily expose things like, they promised me this and they didn't give me anything. So this is why I'm behaving like this. And that, I'm sure that will change a lot of your guys' view on the situation.
Why would we feel that way, or why would we feel that he was betrayed when he didn't even want to go to the place? You didn't want to go to United in the first place. He's openly said that in that interview snippet as well. He was going to City. What stopped him from going to City was Ferguson. So he was already
Fucking
going to
Ferguson.
betray. He was going to betray. He was going to betray his own legacy at United to go to your biggest rivals, if no, second after Liverpool. So this idea that, oh wow, he was gonna betray you. If anything, he was gonna go win a league with City. That was going to happen before Ferguson said, bro, you can't go there. Before Rio said, bro, that cannot happen. They begged him not to go there. That's the person who you're saying is betrayed. How could he have been betrayed if he was going to make that step in any way? I don't see the logic in that. Like, I guess I get the point that you can have promises, you can be promised things, and that doesn't happen. Things change, and you can be upset about it. That is okay. That is okay. But you cannot come out and say you were betrayed. You were not betrayed by anyone. You were going to betray the club that you are claiming is betraying you right now. That is exactly what was going to happen. Imagine if Messi was going to go play for Real Madrid. Does that make sense?
So I'd like to segue here and move to what we can't contextualize this whole Ronaldo thing without discussing the footballing side of it. And I went on an impassioned speech before this episode earlier today on it's tough to say, but at the same time, it's not that tough to say. But the reality is that Manchester United at this present moment deserve to be in this situation, because when Ronaldo put pen to paper, it could only go two ways. It was either going to be an incredible success that propelled a team that surpassed expectations the season before, and it was going to be the final piece in the puzzle and take us to the promised land, or be a massive clusterfuck. And we are at massive clusterfuck now. And the reason we're here is because I get it. Like, yes, there's people who may have let him down, but at what point do we put some accountability on Ronaldo here? Because it's clear that he left Real Madrid because things weren't panning out the way he wanted them, and he felt like it was his time to go. He went to Juventus, he went to Italy, and I feel like from a personal point of view, what's not spoken about is the context in which he left Italy.
Thank you.
I genuinely think without that Man City bid, this guy was going to be in serious, serious trouble, because I feel like he reached a point of no return at Juventus, or is this going to be a long way back? And how do we know? Well, I'm not saying how do we know, but we can easily assume that maybe something like this would have happened at Juventus. Then we hear about Man City putting in a bid, which again, from a footballing point of view, I wish we could do show of hands here. Does anyone believe that was going to go? Like, quicker yes or no. Does anyone believe he was going to go to Man City? Genuinely.
No.
I say no. Lebone?
No.
I think he would have.
I think
Bones?
if
I
Alex
genuinely
didn't
think he would have.
intervene, if Alex didn't, the fact that we know Sir Alex came and said something, I think he was going there.
So let's focus on Sir Alex for a second, because okay, I was about to say where the F does he come in? Okay, we understand where he came from, but if you're making a career decision to leave Juventus to pursue a new challenge you want to leave Juventus, the fact that Sir Alex had to phone him to be like, bro, please don't go to City, and he was just like, okay, like excuse me, of course we're gonna be here where we are now. And you talk about these promises that you claim that you was made, and okay, cool. But Mvu, before I jump to the others, I want to go back to you because you've made a very good point about Jadon Sancho, and you've criticized and questioned his decision to join this club. You asked a very important question about when he joined. You said, did Sancho not watch Man United before he came? Does anyone feel like Cristiano Ronaldo had any idea what he was joining when he joined Man United? I'll start with you, Mvu.
Yeah. I don't think he watched a single game in 2 years to see.
He couldn't have.
And I don't think Ronaldo talks about how he hadn't heard of Ragnick. Cool. Had he heard of Oli as a coach?
This guy, bro, he doesn't know Ralph Hasenhuttl. He doesn't know who else does he. This guy didn't know Graham Potter. He didn't know fucking De Zerbi. He mustn't lie to us and act like he's a man of football. This guy's clueless.
I don't believe it. No. Short answer.
Tobi, I think I heard you say you think he did. He was aware of the situation he was walking into.
No, he was definitely aware. Well, I'm not going to say definitely, I can't speak for him, but I'm sure he was aware of the situation, which is why you often hear situations when players are looking to make transfer to other clubs. You hear people like, I don't know, David Ornstein and them saying, yes, he enjoys or he likes the project, or he's interested in the project that's going on at this club that he wants to move to. So this is where I say, and I think Malcolm was also saying on my side as well in this, there were promises made within this project that he was like, okay, you know what? This team, they came second under Ole. Maybe there's something there. Maybe we can do something. What happened? Nothing. They did not bring in Oaks that he thought that would lift us to the level where he thinks that or knows that we should be. So that's why I think.
So you telling me he rocked up there at the end of the transfer window, Jadon Sancho, Varane, a team that finished second, a fit Pogba, and he was like, nope.
No. What do you mean? What do you mean, nope?
I'm saying you seem to be alluding to the fact that if he was made promises at the start of the project, remember his start of the project was at the end of the window. So we'd signed Sancho, we'd signed Varane, we'd won our first two or three league games. We were playing some sort of cohesive football where the manager seemed to have a plan. And you reckon that's when the first set of promises wasn't delivered, or are you talking about maybe at the end of last season?
Probably the end of last. Probably like usually the end of last season. That's probably another thing. And then I think it's also important how he spoke about how a lot of things haven't actually changed at the club. I think he would have had the idea that this is a top class club. I would expect to see facilities improving, the way in which we train improving, ways in which we are fed improving. But none of this stuff changed, Oaks. Like Ronaldo, it literally, he said he saw the same stuff when he was 20. So like, this is, and we always forget, this is someone who's played at the highest level. This is one of the best, probably a GOAT in football. The standards that he sets himself are extremely high. And when you come into a club that wants to set standards extremely low or maintain mediocre standards, you are going to find yourself in a rift with the club. So I think...
Bro, what if the jacuzzi was nice? Like, fuck.
I am so sorry, Tobi. I just have... Ronaldo has played against United at least 2 or 3 times after leaving United. He has visited those facilities.
You telling me?
Wait. What does
those
playing? Wait.
Wait,
What does playing have to do with you going to Carrington and see the facility?
Yes, I was about to say. In all those times, you think he has not visited United's facilities or seen that, or he has not seen even in the stadium that, hey, nothing's changed here.
No, why
From
would
the
he
time
go?
he left.
Wow.
Hola, Mvu, you're going left, my brother.
Yeah,
Yeah,
why the hell would he
that
even go?
that one's far-fetched. That was
No, guys, I don't believe it. I am so sorry. There's no way. No player doesn't go visit their team ever after playing there for so many years. And
the same guy that didn't message Benzema, you know. So that
this guy didn't come back to United. We know that for a fact. We would have known if he went back to.
Definitely didn't, bro.
Who was he gonna go see? Mourinho, Van Gaal.
I will find a link for the next episode, but I'm almost certain there was a time he had visited or I think Old Trafford or something like that, when there was an interview about the possibilities of him going there and him not being closed off to it. When I find it, hopefully I find it. When I find it, I don't want to hear anything. You know, Old Trafford and Carrington aren't the same thing.
Honestly,
but I'm saying he would have not gone to not see anything, bro. I don't believe. No, look, we'll wait for you to find this article. But what are the penalties if you don't? What are the penalties if you don't? Just so we're clear. I will say I am sorry. What can I do, bro?
Bones, we haven't heard from you. I know. If there's one man who can break down this Ronaldo situation down from a footballing point of view, but yeah, what do you make of all of this?
I think in some way, I agree with Mvu in that I think his profile as a player and as a businessman and as a brand, you cannot not do your due diligence, bro. How can you not vet these supposed promises that you're being given? How can you not actually? You have the resources, and if anything, if he did not do that, it just speaks to the fact that the decision was impulsive. And to that extent, when you bring impulsivity into a decision, you have to accept the consequences that come with that, because you are clearly making a decision where you're not fully taking into account all of the considerations. If you don't take into account all of the considerations and things start fucking out, as much as life is also crazy, so all of those mitigating factors come into all of that, you can't now act like the victim completely. Yes, you can shed light on certain topics, but I never see him taking any responsibility for his part in the thing. He could have said, okay, yes, I was promised this and I was promised this, and I think because I was trying to leave in a very pressurized situation, I did not give myself enough time to vet these situations and to actually see if all of these promises are tangible. And for that reason, I do understand that I am at fault, because ultimately it's my life. It's not necessarily Manchester United's life. Manchester United is a company. So I cannot, you know, there's only so much accountability that can be shifted onto this team. At some point, I also have to realize that I've made decisions, and these decisions have come with consequences. And maybe I don't like these consequences, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I have the right to express my dislike in such a way that is going to seep and ultimately bring down my legacy. Because it could have been a situation where, okay, it doesn't go out the way that you wanted, but you're a really good player. There is a project underway. You can be a very good piece to that project if you commit to the project, because what the fuck else are you going to do? Why would you whine in the year of a World Cup? But anyway, I just think that there is a lack of accountability that is being shown here, that I think is disappointing, considering the stature and caliber of athlete that you would think, you know, like, it's almost like in ball. In ball, you don't run away from the grind, and if you do, you take the L if you take the L, and you, because it's a sport that's a bit more there's lesser players, so there's more responsibility on certain players. But when you get to a certain level of player, a certain GOAT level of player, you also kind of get that kind of responsibility. And it's I don't like that he likes to shift it away and then take it when he wants. Like hold it all the time, or just accept that you're a really, 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 really good player who works really, really hard. But if you want to be the GOAT, then you also have to accept that, hey, GOAT makes mistakes and I fucked up here. And yeah, let's move forward. If he wants to just keep shifting it at Manchester United, bro, why didn't you ask Alex Ferguson why he's not there anymore? Yeah, he was asking you to come back. Why didn't you ask him why he's not there? Like, bro, it's
like
huh?
78.
What? No.
But you know, dog, I was with
Ferguson
you.
has literally spoken.
Dog,
He's literally spoken about the dysfunction that was going on at the club. And obviously he was old. Obviously he was a very old man. But he literally left the club at the time that he did. Less so because he didn't want to carry on managing, but more so because there was too much dysfunction for him to actually change what is going on there.
So let's thank you for that, Bones. I think we were with you for 97% of what you said.
99,
which is enough. But let's take one word that you said, and let's jump to the last part, which is the R word, legacy. Tobi's favorite question to ask, and now we're gonna start with Khanya. How, in terms of Ronaldo's legacy, it's clear that no one or very few will reflect on his second stint at United as A, success, but B, it's more likely that people view this as one that did damage to the latter part of his career. How do you think, not just this interview, but the way he's conducted himself this season, during the season, in preseason, the Spurs game, the interview, Ronaldo's legacy as a Ronaldo fan, as a football fan, has it changed for you?
As a football fan, it's changed massively, mate. It's sad. It's sad, and I feel like the change is so big. I want to use the most dramatic words that Oaks loved, but it's a disgrace, mate. It's a disgrace. He's behaved like a child. For someone who's 37 years old, is a father himself, you'd think that he'd have some kind of foresight, some kind of, balance with how he's evaluating his decisions, and wouldn't be behaving the way he has. It's one that almost doesn't feel like his legacy's diminished, because his legacy's diminished far further than his actual footballing ability has diminished, which is ridiculous to think about when you think about who he was when he was at United versus now. Like last season, he scored 24 goals. He was still capable of, contributing. I don't think he's fallen off a cliff that much since the end of last season to now, that, he's suddenly this incapable footballer. But he's just conducted himself in a way that makes it hard to view him as a person, as a United legend, this person who spoke about, loving the club. You can't view him the same way, because he doesn't love the club like that. He's shown that. So his legacy as this United fan favorite, I don't, you guys will have to tell me as United fans, I don't know how he'd possibly retain it. He's not the same guy. The veil should.
He never loved us like that, bro. He never loved us like that. And I think when he was away from United, the idea of him coming back was romantic and it was nice to dream. But the practicality of him coming back just got more and more difficult. And then it happened. And then you actually reflect on like the things he said when he tried to leave the club, his demeanor, like leaving other clubs, and his legacy at Real Madrid. Like Man United is not his club. Like it's just not his club. It seems like it is a marriage out of convenience both times, and the one was just super successful and the other wasn't. And this is what happens when it goes the other way. So yeah, I agree with you there. Tobi, this one is a touchy one for you. Ronaldo's legacy as Mr. CR7, Mr. GOAT. Like, I know there's very few people you twerk for. This is your guy.
Yeah. First of all, I'm for nobody, bro. I am a realist. I'm just a realist.
Okay, that's fine. Now I'll hold that. As a realist, talk to me from a real perspective. Ronaldo's legacy in football and at Man United, has it changed?
Footballing ability-wise, no. I guess the word I can use maybe socially wise, probably yeah. I think we wouldn't expect to see this behavior, as Khanya said. We wouldn't really expect to see this behavior from someone that's grown. But then there's the other side of the situation where you think of, like I said, this is someone who's been playing at the highest level since they left Sporting Lisbon. I don't think I can count on my fingers how many times this guy's played on the bench since he left Manchester United in the early beginning stages, or even since he left Sporting Lisbon. I can't. Besides, obviously, when he first began at Manchester United, but when he started hitting his top form, like I think this is the first time he's been in a situation where he's been lied to by the executive, where he's been on the bench, regardless of whether he makes the team worse or not. So I think it's a situation where he's coming to terms with the situation himself in his own brain that, oh shit, I've been at this high clip for so long. I'm 38 now. I'm maybe not as fast as I used to be. I'm not as agile as I used to be. But I just don't like this feeling of me being on the bench, like of me not adding anything, of me scoring 24 goals last season, but now being on the bench this season. So I think it's a situation where he still hasn't come to the realization that maybe I do need to sit back. Maybe I do need to understand I'm not at that age and there's other guys coming through. But it's not like, as I said, it's not like he's been performing bad where he can justify that in his own brain. If last season he only scored 5 goals or something like that, then I could be like, okay, bro, you need to understand in your brain that maybe I'm finished. But he scored 24 goals, bro. Was he not second in the Premier League? Like, he still has that in him to perform at high levels. So when you come into this season now and they're not maybe utilizing him as well as they should, then of course you're going to be hurt, bro. So I feel like, yes, on one hand, footballing-wise, amazing player, greatest of all time. Maybe on the other hand, now the way he's done this interview and the timing of the interview. For example, like I said, if he left Man United in January and then he did this interview, no problems at all. But now that he's still a Man United player and he's done this interview, now it's going to be a situation where we're going to have to terminate the contract, bro. That's going to be a sour end. And even then, I have to admit that it's just not a good ending for him. But yeah, that's my chop.
Yeah, you touched on a very important point, is that regardless, it'll be interesting to see how the club handles this, but there's no happy ending from now. I think it's now just about finding the least costly, and B, the best possible way. But in terms of the relationship with the fans, Lebone, as a United fan, would you, let's not pretend nothing's happened yet. We haven't seen the full interview. He could say at the end of the interview, look, I love Man United and I will commit for the next 6 months to being at this club, which would be a shock to all of us. Can you see him donning that red jersey again? And would you even want him to? Like, when the World Cup ends and we're back in end of December, would you even want to see him in a United shirt again?
Yeah. That's tough.
Yes.
It's not tough. The answer should be no, but go on.
I don't think so. But I think when I look at what's good for the team, leaving a guy out like that, if he is available to play, I don't know. It just doesn't feel, it doesn't sit right. But I just, from a pride perspective, I just don't think that you can go out and go about the way that you've gone about disparaging the club and then expect to play, or even saying that the manager doesn't respect you. You're clearly no respect, bro. Like, that's crazy. Like that was crazy. Saying that Ten Hag didn't respect him, that actually hurt me. Like, that hurt me, because I ride for Ten Hag. I'm not gonna lie. So like, for that, So I don't think I want to see him now. But it hurts.
Okay.
It hurts because it's just a sad ending. It's a sad ending, and again, we go back to that word needless. Like, it didn't have to go down like this.
I will offer a contrary point to that about it hurting and it didn't need to go like this. I partly feel like, in many ways, this is short-term pain for long-term gain. I was reflecting on this earlier. I think, from my point of view, that bringing Ronaldo back was like the last infinity stone in terms of just the terrible management and the terrible running of this football club. And this is the snap. This is the Thanos snap that blew this club up. And I think now with Ten Hag, with the realization that the club has fallen so far off, it now is almost a precedent to never repeat anything like this again, ever. Stop bringing these 34-plus-year-old strikers thinking they're going to do a 2-season job for us. No. So I think...
Also, sorry to interrupt you. Stop listening to Sir Alex. That's done.
Facts. No.
Leave that.
But
So Alex,
Lebone wants him
Alex,
back, though.
No. Guys, that guy wasn't even a coach anymore by the end of it. Like, Carlos Queiroz was the coach. Like, no, I don't want him there. But I'm just saying that Ronaldo should have asked, like, what he literally spoke about the fact that there was dismay there and he just could not continue there. I'm not saying that I wanted him to continue.
His response was, okay, boss. And then he signed the contract. Fuck this guy,
like,
bro.
that's crazy. That's insane.
Mvu, balance us here. Ronaldo's legacy, in an unbiased way, because we know where your allegiances are, but we know the respect is there. Yeah, no.
Don't
But
worry.
yeah.
I don't think anything happens to Ronaldo. Everyone will still remember him as the great player that he is or was. This is just like a blip. It's just like, it's a sour ending more than anything, but I don't think it taints any... It doesn't taint his legacy. That is one of the reasons why I beefed with Tobi so much about all these little remarks about, oh, what's they're gonna do for his legacy. Like, you can't erase these types of careers off of 2 months or 6 months of thing. Like, that's just my opinion. I don't think anything's gonna happen to that. I think it's just like you said, it's short-term pain, and that's what fans will feel now. They feel betrayed or whatever they feel, the anger. But when Ronaldo's gone, he will be remembered for his best moments there. And then just like what Tobi said, like there are parts where I empathize, like, you know, I think that's what Khanya was also touching on, is that it's just sad that it's going out like this, because it is also sad that any player who's played at the top for however long has to come to the terms of the fact that he just may not be that guy anymore. But the other part where I don't empathize is because I think he's just started believing these things of them telling him about his body. Like I say it all the time, that lie that they gave him about his body having a 25-year-old body, he can still do all of these things at 38, 37. It's impossible, bro. Like, I don't know why they were feeding him those lies.
No, that was the machines that reported that, bro.
Okay, yeah, give science, but it got into his head, and now he thinks he can still do those things, which is just it's just irrational.
When he scored 24 goals in a season, so what's your point?
Oh my god.
See, I'll leave it. But anyway, I don't think anything will happen to his legacy. It's just short term. Like, it's just done. It's just the end of the road with United more than anything. I don't think he comes back to. You cannot openly say I don't respect my manager and then be playing in January.
That, man.
And then you're playing in January.
Never.
But it's also showed me how petty he is. Like, why did he throw jabs at Wayne Rooney? Like, what Wayne Rooney said to him or said about him, it wasn't even a dig at he was just saying that the behavior was a distraction. Not saying that Ronaldo is this type of person. He went at Wayne Rooney's appearance and character, saying, "Oh,
Wayne Rooney's ugly, bro."
Yeah,
said it straight.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just those things, like, you know, it's just being childish.
Yeah. Wait,
Aside
sorry,
from
can I
that,
just jump in there?
nothing will
I
happen.
understand your facts or your statements on, like, digging at other people and stuff. So do you not think it's a thing of where, like, I've just been hearing a lot of people, so I said, oh yeah, do you guys not think it's wrong that maybe that he's taking digs at Rooney or whatever? But people were like, but what about them all taking digs at him? So is he not allowed to give stuff back?
But
or is that...
but
digs.
Rooney didn't take a dig at Ronaldo. He said, and I'm paraphrasing. He was saying that they all start their statements in the same way. They tell him they brush his ego. They tell him he's one of the greatest ever. Always. They always say that. And they just say, but that behavior cannot be done and it can't be accepted from a senior player. That is a fact. Ronaldo has to listen to that and be like, yeah, I know what, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Even in his Instagram post, he didn't say, sorry, guys, I was wrong. He's saying that, oh, in the heat of the moment, things happen. No, I'm sorry. I was wrong. It won't happen again. You know what I mean? I just don't think he can accept criticism. I know I've watched countless real interviews, and he says that's one of the things with Ronaldo. He feeds into the media and uses it as fuel and all those things, but it cannot fuel you so much and get into your head where you can't be objective about your own behavior. Rooney did not dig at Ronaldo as a professional or as
He has before, though.
At his character. Well, I'm talking about the comments now.
Yeah, but it's a build-up of comments, bro. He even talked about Ronaldo only being fixated on individual awards and not nothing about the team. So I know, like, this is just the one thing.
And okay, but
So,
with that statement, how and how things have transpired now, was Rooney wrong?
No, but bro, but it's just,
So then,
no, but it's not, bro. Come on, dude.
then that's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making. I'm saying it doesn't seem like he can objectively look at himself.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And take some form of honest criticism.
Genuinely, Toby, I don't think it's fair to say that Ronaldo's allowed to fire back at someone like Rooney when what you're saying is valid. Also, to say Rooney's ugly is crazy, bro.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That's crazy.
I'm sorry. You can't play football for over 3 years. You like that. And like, listen, it's not your boy, ne? It's your colleague. There's no one you can work with and call them ugly in any context other than this grand. You're always in the wrong. You are always in the wrong if that's the case. What do you mean your colleague ugly? What are we doing?
And look, no one here is not saying Rooney's ugly. But the point is, it shouldn't have been said, right? Because there's lots of ugly guys. Piers Morgan's ugly, but I don't think Ronaldo would focus on that. I'm sure he'll focus on that if Piers turns on him, which won't happen. But the point is, and just on Rooney, sorry, before I get distracted, I sent a message earlier in the group because I did read that he apparently has been around the club in recent weeks, which makes this even more interesting to me because it means he saw him a few weeks ago, heard the comments, and is like, you know what? Next time I get the chance, I'm going to make sure they know that this guy is as ugly as I think he is. Like, it's premeditated. You can't just premeditate. You can't premeditate and that's like that. It's disrespectful.
And Piers Morgan, the person who interviewed him, was very critical of Ronaldo, like in 08, 09. And he's insulted Ronaldo. And he's now sat down with him. And so this idea that you can give it back and all these things, I think he's just picking and choosing as well.
Yeah, you guys are forgetting he's a human too, man. We've all done the same thing, guys.
No, but bro, he's a goat, bro. You can't pick and choose.
You
can't pick and choose. I'm sorry, you can't pick and choose. 1 minute he's your goat, now he's just a human. No.
Toby,
if he's just a human, then he must accept that he's 38 years old, not as good as he was, needs to become a role player, accept that times are moving on beyond him, and that his career can either dwindle gradually and he can still contribute at a top 6 team in England and a team that's competing to get back into the Champions League, or just be hard-headed like he is and push or move. If this is a human reaction, then that's fine, but accept the criticism then. Accept it. Because no human, you can't have your cake and eat it where I'm just a human, I make mistakes. Like Roy Keane and Graham Souness, I have words for them. I've never wanted to slap them like after that Chelsea game when they both, I think it was Keane on that Saturday and then Souness shortly after were like, no, he's just a human. He feels like the club have let him down. Who hasn't been let down by Man United? Name the person. Name them. Garnacho.
Almost all of the legends.
I feel like, Garnacho is the only one who can say, I haven't been let back down by this club yet. But even that's coming. So for them to even, and I want to drop a hot take, because in many ways, if this is a similar sort of interview that Paul Pogba could have given to anyone, right? In terms of feeling betrayed by the club, promises that weren't met, lack of evolution, and if he said these things, imagine what I think we'd be mourning Paul Pogba's death now. They would have killed him, bro. They would have killed him if he said anything like what Ronaldo said in an interview, and he publicized it after he left. Actually, as a Man United player, let's ignore the fact that he left. Do you think Paul Pogba would be able to leave his house now after having done that interview? No.
Nope.
No.
Yeah,
there's a whole lot of
him, mate.
They killed Lukaku for far less.
They said, Lukaku, go back to Italy, mate. We're done with you. And he just said he didn't like the formation, bro. That's all he said.
Yeah, no, wait. Can I just interject there, bro? How the hell can you compare Pogba with Ronaldo's legacy at Man U? Come on, let's be honest.
You might have to wrap this up. Toby started.
Yeah, bro. Like you understood nothing that was said there, bro. And also, Toby, I just want you to know that also, like, I don't think anyone has expected this to be easy for Ronaldo. I think that's the saddest part of all of this. It's just like he's just not dealing with it at all.
And it's self-inflicted. He's damaging himself. Like this doesn't need to happen the way it's happening. And you keep saying legacy that Ronaldo's done so much. He's undoing it. That's what we're critiquing. You say Lukaku can't stand on the same leg to stand on, bro. Ronaldo is undoing this great legacy you keep alluding to.
So you think he's undoing it, Khanya? Is that it then? Really?
Yeah, definitely. Wait.
It's not us.
Sorry?
I think the United part of it, the United legacy is undone. I think to leave in such an ugly manner, it means it's going to be so difficult for let's put it in the era, a post United Ronaldo fan to appreciate anything he's done. Like if you were a United fan after he left and you're seeing this happen now, and obviously for the near future, it's going to be, I genuinely think it's going to be impossible. You're talking about, okay, actually maybe not impossible, but you've changed the entire perception about your time at Man United as a whole. I genuinely think that's happened.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens, man. Wednesday comes out, right?
That's facts. We do have the episode coming on Wednesday, Thursday, they say. So there's more to come from this. We'll wrap it up there, gents. Thank you so much for this deep dive once again. I just want to put on the record, I hope Portugal have a horrible World Cup. Speaking of the World Cup, we'll be previewing that very shortly, but thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate all the love and support, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you so much, gents.